Animatronic head in Japan in a bathroom that kisses your knees while you use the toilet?
No.
Let's talk about it. In the Shinjuku area, there is a animatronic sumo wrestler head that sings to you, and the animatronic head gets closer and closer and closer to you while you're using the toilet until it's like kissing your knees.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping growing the community. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Alright, you guys, breaking news. Here's where the drowning theory makes little to no sense. According to an ocean expert who has worked these rip current drowning cases for 30 plus years, he says the body always recovers. Well, today marks 2 weeks and still no sightings of Kanaki. He also says when it comes to these tiger sharks in the area, they're in the deep waters, not near the shoreline. And he said specifically for these sharks to be involved, they smell blood. They look for blood. She would have already have had to been dead or injured when she hit the water. He also says that when it comes to the reefs and corals, it's very unlikely that her body would have made it to the reefs. They're 85 feet out. He said that would be a very remote chance. But he also said that the Dominican Navy has already searched the reef and corals and found no sightings of Kanaki. He also says that when it comes to the shoreline, the way the topography works, the way the waves flow, they come directly in, that her body would have washed up the way that it entered. He says these are very warm waters. So her body would have risen to the surface very fast. Her body would have started to decay and then release these gases, making her float. What are your thoughts about all this? What do you think about this drowning theory? Do you think it's likely she drowned? Or maybe there was foul play. Maybe she was trafficked. Write in the comments below.
Because X died 4 years ago on this very day, let's take a second to remember some of his last words. On June 18th, 2018, X went to an ATM to withdraw some cash. As X started driving away, a black SUV started to follow him all the way to a nearby motorsports shop. So X went inside the shop, and after a few hours, he noticed that the black SUV was still in the parking lot. Two men hopped out of the SUV and demanded that X give them his car. As X tried to fight back, he was shot in the neck 3 times. Witnesses claim his last words were something like, "What the F is going on?" but his last verified words were these.
I've gone through my fair share of destruction and pain in the process to get where I've gotten, and anything is possible. If I'm gonna die or ever be a sacrifice, I want to make sure that my life made at least 5 million kids happy. Or they found some sort of answers or resolve in my life. Your mind is limitless. You are worth more than you could believe. All you have to do is dream, and all you have to do is want to fulfill that dream and have the strength to fulfill that dream.
RPX, man, one of the biggest artists in the world. It's crazy, man. And his music did hit over. Like you said, he wanted to hit 5 million kids to get answers, I guess, from what he was doing. And his music definitely impacted a lot of people, man, including me, so. RPX, man, one of the greatest artists.
Terrifying things found in abandoned places. A YouTuber by the name of Urbex Hill was exploring an abandoned school when he soon realizes that he wasn't alone. Just watch this clip and be warned.
What the hell?
There was a man living inside of the abandoned school. What would you do if you stumbled upon a man living inside of an abandoned school? Follow for more videos.
I'm doing exactly what he did.
Paranormal. Whether you answer yes or no, it is true that some things just cannot be explained. This photo to me is one of those unexplainable things. Now this was taken at a wedding in Paisley, Scotland all the way back in 1972, and from the looks of it, all seems relatively normal. It was 37 years before anyone spotted the extra guest in the photo. When zoomed in, you can see a man's eye peeking from behind, as well as a full leg and a foot which appears to be in an open-toed sandal. Now, none of the 4 present in the photo can explain this and claim that no one else was there. Even the wedding photographer vouched that there was nobody else in the photo. Now, allegedly, this photo was examined by a police photographer who claims it to be genuine, meaning it was not tampered with. Now, the man on the far left even claims that he visited a medium in Glasgow, Scotland, who claimed he would receive such a photo. So what do you think? Was maybe a child hiding behind them? Did somebody edit the photo? Or maybe it's just an object that is all playing a trick on our eyes?
Facts
Last
that
one.
could save your life. To survive a falling elevator, your best bet is to cover your face and lie flat on your back. Hitting the ground in this position spreads the force of the impact evenly across your body, and your face is protected against debris. If you see a tornado that's not moving, run, because it is coming right towards you. Tornadoes are so big that you can't tell right away when they come straight at you. If you are in a foreign land and need to call emergency services, don't call 911. 112 is the emergency telephone number for most countries. It will connect from a cell phone to just about anywhere you are on the planet. Most drunk driving collisions occur on Saturdays and Sundays during the late hours of the night. If you can avoid the roads during these times, do it.
Okay. I heard about the 112 when you're in different foreign countries. I think I got a comment like a couple of weeks ago. I was saying it was something like 919 in the United Kingdom or something like that. So it's like it varies, I guess, with different countries. It's not 112 everywhere. You're learning. Just a little fun fact I just wanted to tell you guys, man. Need that when I go traveling one day.
There are
saw
very
that.
few things that are creepier than abandoned amusement parks, but this one, it definitely takes the cake. It's called Pripyat, and it's in the Ukraine, and it was only working for about a month before it had to completely shut down because of Chernobyl. Which, if you don't know what Chernobyl is, look that up on its own. I may make a video of it eventually, but it is terrifying. And I am not recommending anybody go to this abandoned place. Please don't. Safety warning. But even if there was no radiation in the air, I would not go anywhere near this thing. It is so absolutely terrifyingly creepy. Like, imagine it at night. Imagine it in the pitch dark, which that's something that scares the heck out of me, and I'll just be sitting there and thinking about, at like 2 a.m, thinking about the Six Flags that's very, very close to me, and imagining it in the pitch dark, and the roller coasters in the pitch dark, and I freak myself out. These abandoned rides and that gosh darn Ferris wheel that I hate, abandoned amusement park rides with rust on them, freak me out, and I don't know why. I always imagine them underwater, and I just, why do I like to scare myself? Oh, and you see these buildings up here? Yes, one of them is an abandoned hospital, in case you were wondering, and it's also presumed haunted. Of course. So if it was legal, and if it was safe, would you go anywhere near this abandoned place? I absolutely would not. Have y'all heard of the gigantic animatronic head in Japan in a bathroom that kisses your knees while you use the toilet?
Nah.
Let's talk about it. In the Shinjuku area, there is a animatronic sumo wrestler head that sings to you, and the animatronic head gets closer and closer and closer to you while you're using the toilet until it's like kissing your knees. Why? Who designed? Why? I'm going to show you a video of it singing and moving closer, but this is a lady's knees, and seriously, why? Not to mention the absolute megalophobia of that gigantic animatronic in front of me. I would not be able to look at it. I would be so terrified, but the fact that it gets closer to you, even if it was just regular, like if it was just in a regular room, but why? I would literally be using this toilet like crazy if I saw this, you know what I mean? Also, bro looks extremely sinister.
You do.
Watch this video and let me know what you think, and what's going on.
So here we are. So we're talking about everyone, and then this music starts. Yo, yo,
are some
Somebody was on something, man, when they was designing that, bro. Who came up with the idea, like, yeah, we're gonna have a big face stare at you, man, when you taking a dump. And you know what? We're gonna make it move towards you, bro. Make it move towards your legs. That's what somebody wants in the bathroom, man. We cracked the design right there. They were not thinking, bro.
changed the world forever. A scientist was testing gases for a refrigerant, but instead he created the chemicals that would one day fuel nerve agents, which are some of the deadliest chemical weapons in the world. A hospital accidentally exposed higher radiation levels than intended to a cancer patient, but in doing so, they discovered that precise controlled radiation could shrink tumors and become a revolutionary cancer treatment. A medieval monk trying to make a simple drink left a pot of grapes fermenting too long and accidentally created champagne. A clockmaker in the 1700s miscalculated a gear system, but instead of fixing it, he realized the mistake created a perfect timekeeping mechanism, leading to modern clocks. An engineer was supposed to build a stronger adhesive for bridges, but instead he accidentally invented the formula for the first bubblegum. A pilot in World War II got lost in fog, crashed his plane, and accidentally inspired the invention of air traffic control. A frustrated researcher trying to find a cure for stomach ulcers accidentally discovered the compound that would later become Viagra. A scientist studying rubber noticed that a cracked vial had absorbed moisture in a weird way, accidentally leading to the invention of modern diapers. A medieval apothecary trying to make a healing tonic accidentally set off a small explosion and unknowingly created the first version of gunpowder. A shipbuilder in the 1800s miscalculated the weight balance of a new design, and that mistake directly led to the invention of the modern keel.
Here's why you might want to check under your bed for monsters tonight. In 1991, a music executive named Christopher Case was found fully clothed laying in his bathtub in the fetal position. The cops checked, and he had no pulse. The police called Christopher's best friend Sammy to see if she knew anything about the death, and she started to recount a grimacing call she had had with him just the night before he died. The night before, he had woken up to someone speaking under his bed. So he bent down and looked under his bed to see a dark figure. He was paralyzed in fear, couldn't move as this dark figure became fully standing up. The figure reached down and strangled Christopher until he was knocked out. The next morning, when Christopher woke up, he felt his neck and it was all battered, and his fingers were covered in blood. As he's explaining this crazy story to Sammy on the phone, he explains how he's so terrified to go to sleep that night. And then he says, "Hold on, I hear whispering right outside my bedroom door." And that's when the phone went dead.
Oh man, I gotta find part 2. Check under the beds tonight, man.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Our fingers get wrinkly in water because wrinkly fingers give a stronger grip on slippery objects underwater. Dolphins can drown if they stay underwater for too long or if water enters their lungs. The largest muscle in your body is the one you are currently sitting on. In 2013, a man bought a house next door to his wife just so he could install a giant middle finger statue facing her house. The statue even lit up at night. Now, would you rather go back to your ex or this the second person that comes up when you click share and then WhatsApp? Babies can only see white or black in the first month of their birth. Your keyboard knows the last thing you eat. Type I ate and let your keyboard finish the sentence. About 1/6 of the entire world's living languages are only spoken in UK. In the UK, you can join the army at 16 but legally have to be up to 18 years old to play Call of Duty. Fourth mode.
I think the one where I guess husband bought the house next to his ex-wife or something, put that statue up. People are petty like that, man. I can believe that one, bro. I believe that one, man. You know what this is, man.
Top 3 police officers who actually encountered demons. A police officer named Jake said that he was driving around one night and observed a vehicle parked alone in the middle of a church parking lot. This was at night, so he figured that maybe it was some college kids or something. So he pulled up to the car from the side, only to see that there was no one inside. He said that he then positioned his car behind it so he could run the license plate. He thought that maybe someone had stole it and dumped it in the parking lot. So he started to run the plate and he looked at the car through the back window And then he said that he swears that he saw a person in the front seat looking at him through the rearview mirror. He said that this is something that you notice as a cop, because when you do traffic stops, you can tell how intently someone is watching you inside your car, and possibly if they are going to try something. So he says that he got an oh crap moment of, I didn't see there was anyone in the car. He drove directly up next to it to reassure himself of what he saw, and there was no one inside the car. He said that chills immediately ran down his spine and that he got the heck out of there. The car was later gone and he doesn't know what happened. He said that he doesn't know exactly what he saw, but it freaked him out. Him and his partners used to sit in that church parking lot on quiet nights because it was tucked away and you could just relax, but he has not sat there since.
This is the scary story about the old television. A few years ago in a small town in Spain, there was a married couple who had a 6-year-old boy. There was an old television in their son's bedroom, and every night when he went to bed, he insisted on covering the TV with a blanket. His parents noticed this, and they then asked him, "Son, why do you always cover the TV at night?" The boy gave them a weird look and then replied scared. He said because that's how they get in. The parents dismissed this and thought nothing of it. One night the parents went out. When the parents returned home that night, it was well past midnight. To their surprise, they saw the babysitter crying on the staircase out loud. When they asked the babysitter what happened, she looked up at them with fear in her eyes and said, "They took him." The parents ran upstairs, and when they got to their boy's bedroom, they were horrified. Their son was nowhere to be found, and there was a trail of blood leading to the television.
So he was telling the truth.
The woman behind me was boiled alive at a caramel factory that she worked at. In 2017, Natalia Nemitz was working at a caramel factory in Russia. She was cleaning up the tank when all of this molten caramel started rushing in. Not only did it drown her, it boiled her alive, and nobody could do anything to watch her burn. At the end of it, only her legs were sticking up. I assume that all of her body was dissolved or down to the bone at that point. This factory has a history of tragic accidents. She was the third person that year to lose her life. And in typical corporate fashion, they threatened to fire anyone that came forward with information about Natalia's death to the public. I'm just so glad the Labor Commission decided to investigate her death. The company tried to hide it and said she fell into the tank. One theory suggests that the high temperature in the room made her faint and fall into the tank. Another story said she stumbled down and fell into the tank, but neither of those are true. The eyewitness accounts that did get out said she was inside of the tank cleaning it, nothing was in there, and then everything just came gushing in. Unfortunately, she left behind a 10-year-old son, but luckily the son can stay with her sister. Let me know what you guys think about the story in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Man, these factory jobs, they're truly dangerous, man. Watching these clips together with you guys, that's the conclusion I came with. These factory jobs, man, stay away from them if you can. And these companies will do anything to try to save a buck. It's crazy.
Today I googled what is the longest time someone has spent in a coma and then woken up. So in at number 5 is Terry Wallace. Now Terry went into a coma when he was only 20 years old when he suffered a major car accident where his pickup truck skidded off of a bridge. 19 years later, when he awoke from his minimally conscious state, he believed that he was still 20 years old and that it was still 1984. Number 4 on the list is Jan Grzebski. Now this one is pretty savage because Jan was a railroad worker who fell into a coma after being hit by one of the rail cars. Now what's savage about this story is that he spent 19 years in the coma and miraculously woke up, but only 2 years later he died from a heart attack. In third place is Sarah Scantlein. Now Sarah was put into a comatose state when she was just 18 years old when she was hit by a drunk driver as she walked through a parking lot, and she remained in a coma for 20 years. Sarah's dad recalls the day that she woke up saying, "Suddenly the phone rings one day and then she said hello and I just went numb." Number 2 on the list is Rom Hubin. Now Rom's experience is probably the most terrifying thing that could happen to a person because unlike all the others on the list, for 23 years the doctors didn't realize that his brain was actually active, meaning that for 23 years he saw his doctors and nurses as they visited him during their daily rounds. He listened to the conversations of his carers. He heard his mother deliver the news to him that his father had died, but he could do nothing. He was unable to communicate with his doctors or his family. He could not move his head. He couldn't cry. He could only listen. Once they discovered that his brain was actually active, a scientist developed a special technology that now enables him to communicate with the world. So in number 1, and the longest time someone has spent in a coma and then woken up, goes to Annie Shapiro. Now Annie went into a coma at age 50 for nearly 30 years, and then suddenly woke again at age 79. When she woke, she was devastated by her appearance and the way that the world had changed. She said, "When I went to sleep, I was a darn good-looking woman, but now in the mirror, all I see is an old lady with bags around her eyes, wrinkles, and gray hair." She couldn't believe that her husband, Martin, was an 81-year-old man and that her teenage son and 25-year-old daughter were now both middle-aged. She was awestruck to learn about cordless telephones and spaceship flights.
Imagine waking up like that, man. The whole world changed. It's kind of like that's breaking your whole reality, man. In one time, you wake up, it's a completely different one, man. Mind blowing.
This judge gave Walmart shoppers a very unusual sentence. Let me explain. This here is Jeffrey, and he became a judge in Michigan in January. And he was shocked to see the huge number of retail thefts in Michigan. So much so that he was working through about 48 cases per day. But since most of these cases were just misdemeanors, Jeffrey didn't think that these people deserved to be behind bars. Instead, he ordered them to community service, with the service being to wash the cars in the Walmart parking lot, the same place that most of these people stole from.
They are going to give a free car wash to the people that think it's a good idea to go there and steal.
Now, Jeffrey thinks this is justified because he doesn't think they're bad people, but there should be consequences for their actions. And what better way to hold them accountable than to wash strangers' cars with the chance of running into somebody that they know? And the Walmart backs up this idea. Not only that, but Jeffrey said he'll even show up to help them out. So I guess they'll all have a fun bonding day together.
This
That's
girl's
crazy.
life was taken by her lover after telling his wife about their affair. This is 20-year-old Kanaya Brenson, and she was from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Kanaya was described as a joy to be around, and she could make you smile right away. She wanted to become a vet or a orthodontist, but later on she discovered that she was actually good at making people feel pretty, and she enrolled in beauty school. This is 53-year-old Sultan Sharif, and him and Kanaya had formed a romantic relationship. The thing is, he was already married. Kanaya ended up reaching out to Sultan's wife, and she gave her all the information about their affair and all the necessary details that she needed to know. Obviously, Sultan was not happy about this, so he actually reached out to Kanaya's mother, basically told her, "I'm done messing with your daughter, but she keeps reaching out to my wife." I'm also not sure if Kanaya's mother knew about the relationship or if this is how she found out. On September 24th of 2022, a friend of Sultan had called 911 after seeing Sultan on top of Kanaya in his car, and Kanaya was just screaming, pleading for help, and she was just saying, "He cut my throat." Police had arrived to the area where this was happening, and of course, once they got there, Sultan was gone and his car was gone as well. Eventually, police were called to an alley where they found Kanaya's body, and she had been tied, shot, and set on fire. Police began interviewing people, including Sultan's wife, and she stated that, "Oh no, it couldn't have been him because she was with him that day." But later, police discovered that she was actually lying, and they had a video surveillance to back that up.
4K.
Sultan's brother-in-law, Johnny Allen Hopgood, was charged as an accomplice. Johnny was charged with mutilating a corpse, and his bond was set at $50,000. Sultan was charged with first-degree murder and mutilating a body, and his bond is set at $500,000.
So he basically got mad that she exposed them, and he took it out on her because he couldn't deal with the consequences of his actions. Most dangerous people in the world, man. Who can't take accountability for themselves. Chilling story.
These are the Skelton brothers, and they have been missing since November 26th, 2010. And this month, a judge has officially declared them no longer alive. Andrew Alexander and Tanner Skelton, who were 9, 7, and 5, spent Thanksgiving 2010 with their father, John, in Morenci, Michigan. Their mother, Tanya Zubers, was supposed to pick them up from her ex-husband the next day. However, Tanya stopped hearing from John, so she went to his house and found his van in the driveway. Tanya explained that John kept giving her different excuses until he finally said he was at the hospital and the boys were with a friend he had recently met on the internet. He was reportedly at the hospital because he had broken his ankle, telling hospital workers that he did so while trying to take his own life. Not knowing where her sons were, Tanya called the police and asked them to go to John Skelton's home. Officers went and searched the home and reportedly found broken dishes, cut-up mattresses, and the house in disarray, but no sign of the 3 young boys. And while at the hospital, John changed his story several times about where the boys were. First, he said they were with friends, and then he said they were given to an unknown woman. He also at one point told police that he had given the boys to an underground group that would, quote, protect them from Tanya's abuse. But none of these stories were true, none of these people could be located, and the boys were missing. As police looked into what happened to the 3 Skelton boys, they found John's phone records. The records placed him in Michigan early on November 26th, and then placed him in Ohio with his phone pinging about 20 miles away from his home. His phone was then shut off and then pinged back in Michigan about 2 hours and 15 minutes after he left. Several areas in Michigan and Ohio have been searched for Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner, but they have never been found. John Skelton hasn't told anyone where they are, or even if they are still alive, aside from his stories of giving them to unknown people. According to Tanya, John previously claimed that the boys would hibernate until they graduate, but all 3 boys are now old enough that they would have graduated from high school. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Thanksgiving 2010 wasn't the first time John Skelton took the boys away from Tanya. He was accused of taking the boys out of school 2 months earlier, and it is alleged that he said he was taking them on a trip to Florida where his parents live. He was ultimately sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison for unlawful imprisonment after pleading no contest to the charges. He's currently in prison serving time for those charges at the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility in Iona, Michigan. But he has not been charged with anything in connection to the disappearance of his sons. After searching for her sons for almost 15 years and fighting for justice for them, Tanya Zuvers made the difficult decision at the end of last year to request that the court officially declare them dead. In Michigan, a person is typically considered to be dead after they have been missing for 5 years, and the boys have been missing for 14. Tanya said of this, quote, "The decision came after much thought and discussion with my family and friends. It did not come lightly and was definitely a difficult decision to make. No parent wants to lose a child, but to have the court step in and declare them deceased is just unfathomable." But she did so, and earlier this month, the judge officially declared Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner Skelton dead. The judge reportedly said she could not rule that the boys had been murdered, though. Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner would be 23, 21, and 19 today. While they've officially been declared dead in the state of Michigan, they might still be out there somewhere, especially if their father did give them to some underground group. But something happened to these poor young boys, and they have never seen justice for what happened. Rest in peace, Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner.
This man lost his life after his pet hippo turned on him. Marius Els adopted 5-month-old baby Humphrey and took him to live in his 400-acre farm in South Africa. When Humphrey was a baby, everything was fine, but a lot of people warned Marius how dangerous Humphrey can become when he gets bigger. Marius ignored everyone and treated Humphrey like a pet. He would even ride on his back for fun and showed zero fear of this hippo. But it wasn't long until Humphrey got bigger and he eventually reached 1.2 tons and attacked Marius's nephew and almost killed him. But that's not all. In 2011, Humphrey attacked Marius in front of his family and took his life. This all happened when Marius called Humphrey to eat, and according to Marius's family, Humphrey's demeanor was different on this day, basically showing signs of aggression. Marius believed that his pet hippo would never betray him, so he ignored all these signs. When he continued to call Humphrey out of the water to eat, Humphrey suddenly stormed out and attacked Marius, biting into his body multiple times and then dragging him into the water. And this all happened in front of his family, the same people that warned Marius about Humphrey. What's crazy is that even though hippos look super sweet and cute compared to other wild animals, they actually kill more people each year than any other mammal on this planet. Just something to keep in mind.
They wild animals, man.
The Buenos Aires mysteriously turned red, sparking fears among locals of a toxic spill, according to local reports. Local media say that authorities have collected water samples to investigate the discoloration of the river, which flows into the Rio de la Plata and is near an ecological reserve, according to Reuters.
Initial findings from government agencies suggest that the substance may not be toxic, according to Reuters.
Morbid facts.
It's not toxic, so what's there? So why is the water red? Maybe it's a sign. It was coming like, you know, back in the old days, but there's something going on, man. That's in Rio too. I'm definitely going to have to freaking check up on that, man. My sense is going off on that one.
Part 509. In 2016, Texas father Daniel Shaver was held up by police after he was seen pointing a pellet gun out of his hotel window. Several officers had rifles pointed at Schaefer in the hallway as he attempted to comply with them, but their commands were confusing and contradictory, especially since Shaver was drunk. For example, they told Shaver not to put his hands down for any reason before telling him to start crawling towards them. As Shaver was crawling and begging for his life, he reached back to pull his pants up and was killed instantly by Officer Philip Brailsford, who later claimed he thought Shaver was reaching for a weapon. Brailsford was charged with second-degree murder and found not guilty, since the full unedited footage wasn't released until hours after his acquittal. Brailsford was rehired by the department and reimbursed for all the medical expenses he paid, while seeking treatment for the PTSD he claimed he acquired from the shooting. Because of this, Brailsford was medically retired and now collects a $2,500 pension every month.
Man, that's a chilling story. And that's how, man, me personally, I ain't playing with no freaking BB guns and stuff like that, because people can misinterpret it and a real situation could happen. So I don't play with that stuff. It ain't worth it. You saw firsthand. Trust me, man. You know what this is.
This is what they meant when they said, "Don't talk to strangers." In the early 1900s, a 10-year-old boy was playing in the woods when a tall man appeared and asked if he wanted to come back to his cabin for dinner. Totally caught off guard, the boy reluctantly agrees and begins walking. When they get to the cabin, the boy is relieved when he sees Paul, a family friend, sitting on the porch, so the boy happily goes inside. After they eat, the boy says thank you to the strange tall man, says bye to Paul, and then he leaves. He had only walked a few steps when he sees his family, along with Paul, running up the path towards him, frantically asking if he was okay. Confused, the boy says, "I'm just fine," and he looks at Paul and he's like, "Why didn't you tell them I was with you at the cabin?" And he points over his shoulder. Paul glances over the boy's shoulder and then narrows his eyes and says, "You were kidnapped by a cult 3 days ago. No one's seen you." Terrified, the boy turns around to look at the cabin he just came from, and it's gone. All he sees is a dark forest that stretches for miles.
What the hell?
Scary games you should never play. This is the cat scratch game. The game requires 2 players. Player 1, lie your back on the floor with your head resting on player 2's lap. Player 2 will recite one of these 2 stories while rubbing player 1's temples.
I never play any of these scary games that get suggested.
When player 2 has finished the story, stand up and pull up player 1's shirt. Their back should be covered in red claw marks. Many swear that whatever scratched them was something much more sinister than just a cat.
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there.
Somebody was definitely still
Friendly
there.
reminder that if you're ever in Churchill, Canada, it is illegal, if not very frowned upon, to lock your car. The reason is so that if a polar bear comes after you, hiding in someone else's car might be your only option.
Not only are polar bears one of the few animals that'll actively try to eat humans, since they can track prey from miles away, they'll smell you way before you see them. Remember, if it's brown, get on the ground. If it's black, fight back. Talking about bears. If it's white like an addict's nose, your casket finna be closed.
Okay, stay away from polar bears. Once again, noted. I didn't know there was a law, I guess, where it was that you had to keep your car door open because if we could attack you like that, man. I keep thinking about that meme, bro. What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas?
This is a test to see if you have healthy eyes. If you pass all 5 levels, your vision is perfect.
Let's do
all
it.
All you have to do is pick one out of the 10 colors that is different from the rest. Starting off easy, you can clearly see that number 7 is lighter than the rest of them. 97% of people pass this stage, but it's about to get way harder. Okay, let's move on to medium. This one is a little more difficult and will require a little more attention. The correct answer is 2. Level advanced is even harder. Only 30% of people make it past this stage, so really focus and you'll see that the correct answer is 4. Superhuman. This level is really going to test your vision, and I know these look identical, but if you look closely, number 4 is slightly different. And the final level, impossible. 92% of people failed this level, and the answer is 10. Were you right? Comment below.
Oh, man. I tried to pass that test. I think the last one, that's what really got to me, bro. But I basically passed it all up until the last one, man. Did you guys keep up?
Don't even get me started on Laura Karen. That teacher was sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy since he was 11 years old, got pregnant with his baby, and then wasn't even arrested until the baby was 5. And as of today, she has been released from jail. If you've never heard of Laura Karen, she worked at Middle Township Elementary School. She was a 5th grade teacher, meaning that she primarily worked with 10 to 11-year-old students. And from 2016 to 2020, she was sexually abusing a boy who she had had as a student. She had also had his brother in her class. And obviously it was before this all came out, but he, his brother, and his sister, so 3 siblings, actually went to go live in her home for a period of time. And that was between 2016 and 2020, and that is when things got really bad for that boy. According to his sister, when that boy would go into the bathroom to take a shower, Laura would go into the bathroom and lock the door. Additionally, all of the siblings shared a bedroom in her house. However, in the morning when the 2 other siblings would wake up, they would notice that their brother wasn't there, and their brother was in bed with Laura. She had become friends with the parents of those siblings, and she was actually trusted to be a resource parent. In New Jersey, the term resource parent is a synonym for foster parent. But Laura took that trust and completely violated it. She violated their son, and she managed to get away with it for years until December of 2024. That is when she was arrested. I believe it was December 17th. It was found out because the child that she had was a son who looked a lot like the son who she sexually abused. And he looked a lot like the victim's father, and understandably so. And the victim confirmed to his sister that he was the father. She appeared in court today, Tuesday, January 21st of 2025. The judge has ruled that she can be released as her case continues.
A teacher gave a final exam where students had to draw and achieve a high score in the shortest possible time. While walking around the classroom, the teacher noticed one student drawing in an incredibly surprising and unconventional way. The student used a ruler and 2 pens to make their drawing perfectly identical to the reference image. What do you think about this?
This is how you can get full control over your body. If you're ever feeling really stressed or anxious, I got you. All you have to do is slowly blow on your thumb for 30 seconds like this. This will slow down your heartbeat and calm your nerves so you won't have to worry anymore. Next, if you ever wake up in the morning and your hand or arm has fallen asleep, all you have to do is shake your head and it will quickly go away. But if your leg falls asleep, all you have to do is wiggle your toes and your leg will be back to normal right away. If you're ever sick to your stomach and you want to get feeling better quickly, listen up. Squeeze down your left thumb like this to deactivate your gag reflex so you won't gag. And place your thumb right here on your wrist to get rid of your nausea. Finally, eating peanut butter before you fall asleep at night could change your life. It's scientifically proven that eating peanut butter before you fall asleep can help you fall asleep much faster. And it will also give you insanely vivid dreams.
A rare and mysterious illness is currently sweeping through a city in India, leaving patients suddenly paralyzed and unable to control their body. With what began as a child struggling to hold their pencil in January, has now escalated into a full-scale medical emergency. Of 170 reported cases, dozens in intensive care, at least 5 suspected deaths, and even teams from the WHO arriving in Pune to investigate. But here's what makes this illness so terrifying. It has what's referred to as the Russian roulette effect. You see, the bacteria that can trigger the paralysis
is everywhere. It's found in contaminated food and water, and most people consume it at some point in their life without even knowing. But for reasons that scientists still don't fully understand yet, only in a small percentage of cases, this bacteria can trigger Guillain-Barré syndrome, which causes the immune system to go rogue, shutting down your body piece by piece. For example, last month, a school teacher noticed that our 6-year-old son couldn't hold his pencil properly, and within days, his legs and arms stopped working. He lost the ability to swallow, speak, and eventually breathe, requiring ventilator support. At that stage, you can think of it like having sleep paralysis while being fully awake. Now, because there is no cure for GBS, early intervention is critical, and that's why authorities have now set up special hospital wards, launched mass water testing, and called in the WHO in efforts to contain the outbreak and prevent more lives being put at risk. As the situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
This preacher caught
Keep me up to date.
paranormal in church. Let's watch it together.
Well, hey everybody, Pastor Aaron here. It's my pleasure just to announce that this Sunday will be open.
Oh! Oh nah.
Okay, we've been trying to do this announcement several times today already, and 3 times that podium back there has fallen over on its own, and it's stable. I mean, it's not wobbly at all.
Leave the church. I would leave.
It's kind of like
I'm hitting the jets.
Wow. That podium has been wobbling. Okay, so we checked the vent. There's a vent there that is not an air duct that has any forced air at all, so it can't be wobbling from that. There's absolutely no breeze in here. You can see by the banner there.
Call Ghostbusters.
This no air conditioning. It's these things, they're off. I don't know. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch it for a little bit, and we will see if it does it again.
Oh nah, I'm leaving.
Nothing's moving. That hasn't been moving.
I'm leaving. Is he there?
He's still there?
Seriously, nothing else. There's no breeze. It's moving again.
It's time to go.
Oh yeah, I'm out. I'm
Ever
in the
seen a boarding
jets.
pass that's so big it could double as a billboard? Well, one man's oversized ticket has taken the internet by storm. This hilarious moment was caught on camera in an airport when a guy rolled up to the gate with what might just be the world's most dramatic boarding pass. Of course, it wasn't long before a very confused officer had to step in. While people who saw the huge boarding pass thought it was a joke, the passenger was completely serious. But as for the officer, he was trying his hardest to not crack up while keeping the situation serious. This lady just broke a Guinness World of Record by eating cotton candy. Meet Leia Shuckkeever, a speed eater extraordinaire who just devoured an insane amount of cotton candy in only 60 seconds, shattering the Guinness World Record. But the best part? When she was presented with the Grinchy treat, she had one simple question. Why is it green? David Wilson, the adjudicator, couldn't help but respond with a smile and said, "It's quite Grinchy."
That can't be lost. Why is it green? It's quite grinchy. It is quite grinchy.
To break the record, Leia had to demolish at least 45 grams of this sticky sweet green goo in under a minute. And did she? Of course she did, leaving her with sticky fingers and a sticky face. But Leia isn't just about cotton candy. She's also set records for inhaling 19 chicken nuggets in a minute and 10 Jolly Donuts in 3 minutes.
Damn, speed eating? I couldn't do that, man. She broke all those records. Hey, she got a talent, bro. She's talented. Gotta give it that. I gotta get that to her.
We now actually know what happens when we die. In some of the biggest news of the century, we've now got evidence suggesting that your life carries on after you die, and it gets a lot crazier than that. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family, because you don't want to miss this. So an old woman was passing away, and as she died, they had her hooked up to a machine which was monitoring her brain. Now what scientists got from these scans after she passed away was these photos, which don't look like much right now. But what these show is that a part of the brain, specifically the part of the brain that processes memories and experiences, was still active after death. for around 8 minutes. And this is crazy because years ago I made a video saying about the 8 minutes after death and how your brain is still active. They did tests before on a man who died and found similar things, but nothing as concrete as this. As I say, from these scans, it showed that the brain was still active for around 8 minutes after this woman passed away. And specifically that she was processing memories, i.e. her life, flashing before her eyes, the common term you've probably heard. So this suggests that when you pass away, your life does flash before your eyes. You get memory flashbacks and maybe relive parts of your life. It also links into the theory I've spoken about before and many people have said. Think about when you have a dream. Sometimes dreams can feel really real and time's different, time dilation of course. Sometimes you'll have a dream, it feels like an hour, but you wake up and it's been about 2 minutes. Well, the same might be happening in this 8 minutes after death. Reliving memories, what feels like days, weeks, but it's only in the 8 minutes. Or maybe even like a lucid dream, creating some sort of new reality. So what's to say you're not dead right now in that 8 minutes, and this is all just a figment of your imagination.
What are the chances of two rivers?
That brings up a good point, man, especially at the end. That's like the simulation theory. That's what I got. But life, we heard before, you know, like your life flashed before your eyes. Guess there's some truth to that. We learning today.
2,000 miles apart, mysteriously turning blood red at the same time. And we don't know the cause for either. Worried residents in both Lima, Peru and Buenos Aires, Argentina have shared footage online reporting strong odors accompanying the discoloration. One local described the scene saying, "It looks like a stream of blood. We have never seen it like this." Now, while we don't know for sure what's caused either yet, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a scene from a biblical prophecy. I'll just leave that there for a second. Rather, in Peru, environmental experts believe that it could be caused by pollutants discharged from mines and drainage pipes flowing into the river. Despite this, local water supplier, Cinepal, assured the public that the water is still safe to drink. And they better be bloody right, because this river is one of the country's most important water sources. And then for the river in Argentina, authorities suspect the presence of aniline, which is a toxic substance used in dyes, and they believe that it could have been dumped there by local companies. But then again, if Jesus did want to come back, it's not a bad time.
Those freaking two rivers trying to red connected.
Susan Lewis and her daughter Jamie moved into a new home in Southern California, and shortly after moving in, Susan's new boyfriend Matt, he moved in as well. Also, Matt had a daughter named Marie, who was the same age as Jamie. A few weeks after moving in, Susan goes into the kitchen and she sees on the counter that a peanut butter jar had its lid off and had been turned on its side. Peanut butter seemed to be running out of the jar like it had been melted. So she figures one of the kids must have come in here and for whatever reason, microwaved the peanut butter and then dumped it on the counter. And Jamie would say that she literally laughed at her mom, like, why would I do that? And Marie too is like, no, I didn't touch the peanut butter. And all four of them spend the rest of the day goofing around outside near the pool. Later that day, they find that there have been cans that you would keep in your pantry, like canned food, stacked on each of the steps leading upstairs. They also find that there have been random objects placed all over the house in strange patterns. Hairbrushes arranged in a star pattern on the counter. They open the microwave and find peanut butter jars and other random canned foods and stuffed animals from the kids' rooms in the microwave. The cleaning materials underneath the sink had been pulled out and arranged in a height line from shortest to tallest. They think that someone's invaded their house, so they run back out again, and no one's come near their property. Ultimately just kind of moved on. In the last couple of weeks that they ever stayed at this house, because they would leave, two major events occurred. The first one happened when Marie was home alone. She's sitting in the living room watching TV, and at some point the TV starts turning off and on. And the TV finally just turns off. She can't get it on. She reaches for the remote. The remote flies off the table as all the pictures from the walls just start one by one falling off the wall. She takes her camera in her hand and kind of turns it and just starts taking pictures of the room. There are these weird orbs of light that are very clearly in the room with her. The second major event that occurred in those final 2 weeks, Jamie was in her room and she starts hearing pounding on her door. She started filming this pounding on her door.
Seen this firsthand.
And so she didn't open the door, and she went back onto her bed, and she just sat there in the fetal position for 3 hours, listening to something smashing nonstop into the door. She opens the door, and there's no one there. But the door on the outside, where the knocking had been happening, there's this huge dent and divot in the door. She sees that now there is a frying pan sitting in the hall that has a toilet paper roll completely on fire. Grabs a sweatshirt and she smothers the fire, and she goes outside defeated and just sits on the front steps of her house. Jamie explains what happens, and that was it. And so they barely packed up and they left that house. It didn't sell. Susan literally went bankrupt, and soon after they left the neighborhood, their neighbors left the neighborhood, and 5 other neighbors in their immediate vicinity all left. All of the houses did not sell. They are all vacant.
Statue in the living room. It looked old. Its painted grin frozen in place. No matter where she sat, it felt like it was staring right at her. After a while, she couldn't take it anymore. She called the parents and asked, "Can I cover up the clown statue? It's creeping me out." But the parents' response made her blood run cold. "We don't have a clown statue," said the parents over the phone. Her heart dropped, and as she slowly turned around, she heard someone beginning to laugh slow. The clown statue had moved. She quickly grabbed the kids and ran. When the police arrived, they found him. A man dressed as a clown, hiding in the house. He had been watching them for days, waiting for the perfect moment. The man escaped from a mental state hospital as they arrested him and put him in the back of a cop car. He began to laugh hysterically while staring at the babysitter. Next time you see a statue in someone's house, take a closer look. It might not be a statue at all.
Real Annabelle out of her box inside a museum in Connecticut and accidentally experienced something terrifying. They even had a priest bless them with a prayer and pour holy water over the entire museum before they contacted her to prevent any possible curses. But it was not enough to protect them. Listen carefully to what Annabelle says.
We visited other dolls in the past before. They also said something about gateways. Do you know those other dolls?
Everybody against you.
Earlier you were talking more directly. Only? You're talking only, I guess, to Colby. Is there a reason for that?
Separation. Keep in mind that she used the word separation, and right after they ended the Estes method, they could feel something was off. But it wasn't just a feeling. While packing their stuff into the car, distant screams echoed from the darkness, and then something suddenly grabbed Colby from behind. But what really unsettled them was their final conversation before wrapping up the video. An intense argument unlike anything they'd ever had before.
You believe, you always believed. For some reason, no matter what we can, I can accept it.
It's in separation.
Sam and Colby, they exploring some strange things, man. But they went to the Annabelle freaking museum where they keep the doll at. Watching these clips together with you guys, man. They, like I said, they literally keep her, I guess, locked away in the museum. And they had to have holy water poured on them before they entered, man. That's how you know that's some real and legit stuff going on. I might have to check that video out. Whew. There's some brave people, because I couldn't do that, man. I try to stay away from those dark spirits. You know what that is. Pixie? Are those supposed to be like snakes? Running from? Outage.
What the hell is that? That's the red light. Holy shit, wait. Dude, how the f are we getting home, man? No, look. I don't think we need to worry about that. It's scanning. Shh. Just be quiet. Just get back in. Hurry. Well, look at it. Coming towards us. I think so. It's
bad. This is really bad.
It's inside the house?
Mike, get down. I don't know what is that. What is that? No, I don't know. Why are they going with us?
And she said,
Crazy.
"Hi, Jamila."
Yeah, turn around. Turn around. But you gotta listen to me. Turn around. Look at me. What's the matter?
Cheese. Cheese.
They sent something, man.
What you doing? What you see? What? What you see?
He said Papa.
Who you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that.
Was she did you come almost couldn't walk?
She was old. She could walk, but she was old. Okay?
Mommy, your grandma's here. And she says, "Hi, Jamila."
What?
Your grandma's here. And she says, "Hi, Jamila."
SpongeBob.
She knows.
Liam, come here. Liam, come right now. What is that? Okay, I'm calling your mom. Just stay right here.
Man, believe the kids. Honestly, it's like, man, we seen these kids watching together with you guys, man. That sometimes there seems that they may be talking to like an imaginary person or something like that, but who knows? They could be communicating with the spirit. I don't know. Just got to keep the possibilities open. You never know.
Quick,
4K. I'll have to call Cap on that one. I wonder how deep it goes, bro. He's a brave person. They keep going that deep? Heard too many stories about those mines, man. Back in the old days.
People thought that they are faking their videos for years until they posted a footage that made everyone rethink their opinion. His youngest daughter, named Kaylee, was home alone when she heard her own voice aggressively telling her to open the kitchen door. So she did the only logical thing and opened the door while recording everything, but it ended badly.
I can hear myself saying my own name. Hello?
Kaylee then shows you exactly what not to do if you ever encounter a mimic that is imitating your voice or the voice of a family member. You should just pretend you didn't hear anything instead of responding and carelessly walking around the house like she proceeded to.
What the hell is going on? Hey, help me.
Only a few seconds after leaving the kitchen, she begun hearing her mom's voice and got distracted by a random ball thrown around the house, which is a common strategy used by these creatures.
Mom, what is going on?
Okay.
Hello? Ow!
What the?
Here. We need your help. Please, help us.
Mimics, be aware.
Hi. Get out. Brendan.
What was that?
Brendan. Come in there.
She captured undeniable.
Did he just leave his dog there, man? I mean, like I said, see, man, Seekers, if you're going out camping, bro, you gotta be careful, man. I guess that's why people be setting up, I guess, cameras and stuff, man. Or setting up some defenses when you go camping, because, bro, it's the middle of the night. You in the woods, you don't know what could try to run up on you. Wolf, bears, anything, bro. Now, fun fact, I've never been camping, ever.
Proof that something is wrong with Appalachian Mountains. Mandy decided to install trail cameras all around her house after hearing voices multiple times at night. And other than few clips of random animals, one of them recorded a video that went completely viral. But unfortunately, it was only the beginning of scary encounters. Just 6 days after that video, she posted another clip in which this thing that made these creepy sounds was recorded. And after taking a closer look, she realized it kind of looks like a woman in a robe. 24 days later, her son's bedroom camera caught motion behind a window, and then a pale face appeared outside staring in. And this was the second floor, so there was no way anyone should have been up there.
But how would somebody even get up there? You'd have to be super tall or like climb up on something.
Then she posted a quick footage in which you can see a person's hand taking down her camera.
Well, it was knocked down, so I'm gonna check the footage and see if I can find anything.
After 16 months, another camera recorded this terrifying thing again, and it kept lurking around for 10 minutes, convincing her to let in.
What is that?
And it took her weeks to find a possible reason for why this was happening.
See that mountain right there? I just found out last night is part of the Appalachian Mountains.
It started back in 2022, and to this day, she still streams her backyard live sometimes, looking for answers.
Wow, I need to check that out.
Rocks, but then it stops on its own when I come outside. Let's see if I could get it on camera. There's like no wind. That's I know, Blue, someone's there.
Good job. What are you doing? Come here. What are you doing? Oh, don't fucking do that. What the fuck is it on? And I swear to God!
You see, something's been spooking him. He's jumping around. This dude. What do you see? Hey, so listen, we got to.
The dog knew they both on timing.
What the hell is over there?
Skinwalkers are back.
Skinwalkers are creatures that can take on the form of your pets, like in this video. Their goal is simply to take your skin. Remember, I can only protect my followers who have commented their name and shared this video with a friend. It might just save their life.
That goat look like he on something.
Thankfully, this woman closed the door. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here to post this video. So if you ever come across an animal or person acting strangely, run as far as you can. I'll leave you with the terrifying ending.
Marlene, sit. Turn around. Turn around. Lay down. You're not my dog.
Made it to the Appalachian Mountains. So far, no scare.
I would have been out. I'm go. What the? Cap on that one. How did they do that? Bro, those magicians are be freaking mind blown, bro. You know they say magicians never supposed to reveal their tricks, man. Sometimes I feel like there's a little more, man, than, you know, a simple sleight of hand that they trick you on mind. Like, voila, there's a whole woman there under the freaking blanket. I don't know how we did that. Really got me freaking asking some serious questions, man.
And there's this huge warehouse, grocery store, or something down there. The way you take is even crazy.
She looks like the creepy smile.
Oh,
Oh, she went in the back rooms, bro. Yeah, I do. Yeah, that was definitely like some possessions to me. They do look like some giants, man. really right in front of us. We know what's going on with Egypt. They just released some new things this week about it. Have you seen that picture that's been going around? Usually, like, it's this picture, then it shows like this whole freaking like thing that's connected to it under the pyramids. I'm guessing there's still some mysteries in the pyramids, man, that has to be solved. I wonder who's gonna discover them, man.
I was walking through here, and whenever you get right here, you can see something fucking behind me.
What's that bike doing? That looks like a UFO.
Promise you, you are not ready for Good Boy. Good Boy is a brand new horror film, all from the perspective of this dog. If you own a dog, you know that they will stare into corners and bark at random things in the shadows. That is what this movie is. But at the same time, that's not what this film is about at all. I saw it earlier in the week at South by Southwest, and this morning I waited 2 hours to see it again. Yes, it's that good. Listen, Indy the dog deserves an Oscar. This dog emotionally destroyed me. Even on my second watch, my emotions were in my throat the entire time. I had this sick, nervous feeling in my stomach. Good Boy is tense, it's nerve-wracking, it's emotionally damaging. The very last frame sent me into an uncontrollable sobbing fit. This film is genuinely masterfully crafted. I promise you, you have never seen a ghost movie like Good Boy. Give this fucking dog an Oscar, and when you get a chance to see Good Boy for the first time, literally stop what you're doing and watch this film immediately. It's a 5 out of 5 absolute masterpiece.
You know the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But yes, Father. I ask you to leave this house right now. I ask you to leave this house now. Name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Right now.
Check their house.
Dude who was attacked by a swarm of raging bees. 23-year-old Alex Bechler and a friend were on a hike in Usery Mountain Park in Arizona when suddenly, without provoke, a swarm of bees suddenly attacked them. The aggressive swarm of bees stung Alex more than 1,000 times. His friend was able to flee and hide in a nearby bathroom. Several people tried to help Alex as he lay on the ground swarmed with these bees, but every time the bees would drive the people away. A sheriff finally used a UTV to get close enough to him, and still covered in bees, he grabbed Alex and fled with the bees pursuing. Once at the hospital, Alex was pronounced dead.
Man.
Creepy videos that you shouldn't watch at night, but you're going to anyway. Part 10. I just held up 5. What the fuck? And for my dark web lovers, you will love this video because this one actually surfaced on the dark web. Also, I might be going on a TV show. I got contacted by a company to make a TV show on Discovery Channel pretty much about dark web and creepy videos, so thank you guys. So make sure to show some love so we can get him to see it. I just like my lights out. Alright, the video has since been deleted, but people actually downloaded it, so I'm just on YouTube. So this is in binary code. If anybody wants to decode that, please let me know. This video is pretty scary, so let's watch. What the fuck?
What's he wearing?
Oh, hell no. Here's the full binary code, so just save the video. So if you guys need help sleeping at night, click the link in my bio. And once you click the link, click on Get a Peaceful Sleep, and it's an app, download it, and you will get the most peaceful sleep of your life.
I don't know what the hell.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 2. The Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
They need to freaking shut down that whole forest, man. You hear me screaming laughter, bro. That whole spot, where that little circle spot where it's just like nothing else is going. I feel like that's just like a portal, man, with some bad energy around there. Close it down.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This fisherman survived 6 hours in freezing water after his ship sank. He then walked near lava fields for 3 hours barefoot, and when he returned to safety, there were no signs of hypothermia, even though he was just wearing a shirt and jeans. Frank Hart was the first black athlete on a sports card back in 1880. This environmental activist climbed an over 1,000-year-old tree and didn't come back down for over 2 years. This farm boy from Idaho came up with the idea for an electronic television while he was plowing a field at 14 years old. This Italian banker over a 7-year period diverted over €1 million to his poorer clients from the wealthier clients so that they could qualify for loans. He made no profit and avoided jail in 2018 due to a plea bargain. This physician proved that yellow fever could be transmitted through a mosquito bite and unfortunately passed away from that mosquito bite just 17 days later.
He was dedicated to show the truth, man. He's a seeker of the truth for real.
This is known as the doll that aged. The doll used to look like this and was played with by a couple of kids, but then they started to grow up, so the doll was just locked away in the attic for like 14 years. So then as the parents went up to the attic to like clean it out, they were shocked to find the doll look like this.
How the hell was the doll aging?
Disturbing things Disneyland doesn't want you to know. A few years ago in Disney World, Florida, a little boy was snatched by a crocodile, and his remains were found a few hours later in a lake next to the park. Apparently the kid was just next to the water when the crocodile ate him up. Next, did you know that Disneyland has only closed 3 times throughout history? They were when JFK was shot, after a massive earthquake in 1994, and on September 11th, 2001. So let's just say they count on keeping their parks open for as long as possible. And finally, some rumors say that the skulls on the Pirate of the Caribbean ride are actually real human skulls. And if that's real, that is pretty messed up.
Fun fact, never been in Disney World ever.
Did you guys hear about the 34
24-year-old teacher that was essaying a 13-year-old student, and it turns out that they possibly have a 5-year-old child together. I'm at the point where this stuff doesn't even surprise me anymore because it's been happening so often lately. This woman's name is Laura Karen, and she was a 5th grade teacher in Middle Township Elementary School in New Jersey. So this whole thing started when Laura became the victim's teacher in the 5th grade. Laura and the victim's mother became friends, got to know each other, and she offered to take care of her kids. The victim, who was 11 years old at the time, was staying at Laura's house with his siblings regularly. Now, the kids went from going to Laura's house every day to then actually staying there permanently. It was said the kids did not go home anymore, and they basically lived in Laura's house from 2016 to 2020. During that time, the 11-year-old was being essayed by Laura, and allegedly they have a child together. Then fast forward a few years later, the victim's father saw a photo of Laura's child on Facebook, and he said, "This kid looks a lot like my son." He called police and an investigation began, and Laura was arrested, but they're still waiting on the DNA results. Now, when the siblings were asked if they saw anything weird going on in the house, they said that Laura and their brother slept in her bed every single night. And not only that, but apparently they also showered together, and they caught Laura essaying him one night. The siblings also said that when this baby was born, they knew that this was their brother's child, but they were told not to say anything because then Laura would get in trouble. And you guys won't believe this, but Laura was just released from jail until her next court date. This should be a wake-up call to people who leave their kids with literally just anyone. A lot of people believe that just because someone's a teacher, you can fully trust them, but what you may not know is that a lot of predators get positions that revolve around children just so that it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff.
Interesting people you've never heard
Can't trust
of.
anybody.
This dude ran out of gas in rural Maine in 1986 and then spent the next 27 years living isolated in the woods. This man was killed on a street in Brooklyn just before midnight on 9/11/2001, making him the sole victim of murders on that day because New York does not count the 9/11 attacks in its crime statistics, and his murder remains unsolved. This convicted Japanese war criminal recreated his prison cell at home because he believed that his 10-year sentence was too short, and he stayed there till he passed away. This professional swimmer retired due to lung complications after saving 20 people from debris-filled waters. Japan welcomed their first female fighter pilot in 2018 after she was inspired by Top Gun as a child. This basketball player slammed his head into a concrete post after he was frustrated getting his 5th foul and ultimately was never able to walk again.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day. Firstly, you know these vacuum toilets that are most commonly used on planes and cruise ships? Well, there have been many reports of them sucking the rectum out of people when they flush. Next, this is just disappointing. 1 in 4 Americans actually believe that the sun rotates around the earth. Now, studies show that the average person will wait 5 months of their lifetime for red lights to turn green. You know when you're watching a movie or TV show and you hear these laugh tracks in the background? Well, most of them were recorded in the 50s, so you're hearing dead people laugh. This will ruin your childhood. The Red Power Ranger, Ricardo Medina, pleaded guilty to killing his roommate with a sword. Finally, you are now closer to death than you were when you started this video.
You ruined the Power Rangers for us, man. Who watched that when you was a kid, bro? Man, what's up with these actors, bro? It's like, once they lose their gig, it's over.
Disney princesses' gloves. Take a look at all the Disney princesses. Some are wearing gloves, some aren't. You'll notice that all the ones who aren't wearing gloves are commoners who married into royalty. Boo's real name in Monsters, Inc. is Mary. And this is the same as the young girl who voices Boo. Her name is Mary Gibbs. And her name is only visible when she's in their apartment and they're making drawings and her name is on the paper. Bambi only uses 72 unique words throughout the entire film. And in total, there are only about 900 words spoken throughout the entire thing as well. To get Robin Williams to play the genie in Aladdin, animators created a sequence of the genie performing Robin Williams stand-up routines. And this was one of the ways they pulled in Robin Williams for this part. Simba literally means lion. In Swahili, Simba directly translates to lion.
I never do that. What the hell? So his name is his name.
Only kids can hear this sound. So scientists discovered a sound they believe only kids can hear. The name of the sound is mosquito tone and it is at a frequency of 17 kilohertz. This is the sound. Let me know if you can hear it.
In 3, 2, 1.
don't.
Hear the sound. Sophomore?
Did Doja Cat sell
I
her
didn't
soul and
hear
now
it.
she's in the Illuminati? She recently celebrated her 27th birthday with the Illuminati themed party, and they say when you sell your soul, like the devil takes something from you. Watch this clip, it's weird. That clip is not from her birthday party, but basically she's making all these weird faces. We know her music is a little symbolic, but just watch this other clip of her looking like she's glitching, she's glaring off into space, it's weird.
Yo, check out Doja Cat here. Tell me she don't time out. Looks like she just... Yo, what happened to her? She glitched. Yo, she glitched.
Celebrities are kind of weird, like we've seen Cardi B space out in the middle of interviews, but when you're winning an award, that seems like a time when you shouldn't be like spacey. What do you guys think about this? Do you think she sold her soul?
Man, people in the industry, you know, some, like I said, her music is like symbolic, so, but to say that she had a birthday party and that was the theme, I don't know if that's just like trying to be hidden in plain sight, or she's just trying to, you know, like, try to, you know, reflect that narrative back and just trying to, you know, be like, oh, it's just a party. It's everywhere, man.
Times when jokes backfired big time. In 2006, the high-end water Fiji ran an ad campaign jokingly saying the label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland. Well, the city of Cleveland, Ohio saw this and were offended because what did they ever do to deserve this? So rightfully, the city of Cleveland tested their tap water and found that it was actually cleaner and tastier than Fiji water. Next, several years ago, a California man jokingly got a personalized license plate that read no, and thought it would trick the database so whenever he got a ticket, it would register as no, meaning nothing. Well, the problem with that is, anytime there was an error on anyone else's license plate, they assigned it to him. He got $12,000 in fines.
Try to trick the system, ain't work.
This post made me think, what animal am I glad that I don't have to deal with? I'm cool with most animals, but I think I draw the line at bears, especially grizzly bears. And so the idea of the giant, short-faced bear is something I definitely find frightening. These were like grizzly bears, but much bigger. These were found in the Americas and went extinct towards the end of the last ice age. So around 12,000 years ago. I don't know what it is about bears, but there's something about them that freaks me out more than any other animal. I'm not really sure why. Maybe one of my ancestors got chomped. As always, come talk on my Discord. You could even suggest content. Though the stickers are getting a little questionable. Info on my Discord in pinned.
Which animals are y'all glad that went extinct? Maybe the dinos for me. Could you guys imagine dinosaurs roaming the earth right now? Especially with the T-Rex. Nah.
Has anybody ever told you the terrifying true story of Snow White? I'm sure by now we all know the Disney version, but the Brothers Grimm version, which came before the Disney version, is actually much darker. In this version, the evil queen orders the huntsman to take Snow White into the woods, kill her, and bring back her liver and lungs for the queen to eat. Which is obviously very disturbing, but there's actually more to the story. Later in the story, the prince and Snow White are getting married, and they invite all the royalty in the land. The evil queen shows up, unknowing it was her stepdaughter's wedding. When she arrives, she's forced to step into burning hot iron shoes brought from the fireplace, and then she has to dance until she dies. And that's her punishment for trying to go after Snow White. I don't really feel bad for her, but gosh, I mean, this version is terrifying.
What's something small that completely changed the course of history? I'll go first. If not for a wobbly chair, we probably wouldn't have Social Security today. Giuseppe Zangara was an Italian immigrant who came to America in the 1920s for a better life. But he had a condition with his gallbladder that caused him immense pain and made him often unable to work. At the height of the Great Depression, there is a political rally near where Giuseppe lives in Miami. Giuseppe is a desperate man, and he was also a marksman in the Italian army. However, he was also only 5 feet tall, so he needs to stand on a wobbly metal chair in order to see over the crowd and get a good aim at President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Giuseppe fires 5 shots, but because the chair is wobbly, he hits the mayor of Miami instead of FDR. This was FDR's vice president at the time, John Nance Carter, a conservative Democrat from Texas who opposed New Deal policies like Social Security. And if it weren't for a wobbly chair, he would have been president instead of FDR.
Whoa. Changed the course of history.
What is the
She needs
craziest thing
justice.
someone's confessed to on their deathbed? Well, a deathbed confession made this year solved a 20-year-old cold case. And this is coming from the Heart Starts Pounding podcast episode that's all about cold cases that were solved this year. So this year in West Virginia, a man named Larry Webb was dying. And before he died, he called a nurse over and said he needed to get it off his chest that he killed a woman and her daughter back in 2000. It turns out that back then, a woman named Susan Carter and her 10-year-old daughter Alex were living with Larry while Susan was in a custody battle with Alex's father. And one day they just disappeared, but because they were together when they disappeared, police assumed that Susan just ran away with her daughter. But Larry confirmed that that's not what happened. The story he gave on his deathbed is that one day he came home to see that Susan was stealing money from him, and so he shot her. And then panicking, he wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, and that included Alex, her daughter. And to me, the craziest thing in all of this is that Larry had really bad dementia, so when he gave this confession, they weren't really convinced that it was true. But the day after he died, both of their remains were found in his backyard. If you want to hear more on that story and other cold cases that were solved this year, check out the Cold Cases That Were Solved This Year episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
When it's the end, man. When the end is near, people, that's when they want to tell the truth, I guess, you know. Get it off their chest. I'm burdened.
The world's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach Tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach Tier 10. Okay, Tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I'm going to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking. No way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only Tier 1. Make sure to follow to see Tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Did you know
some truth to that?
Forks were used in ancient China, which were then replaced by chopsticks. It has rained more in Los Angeles this year than in Seattle. Your red blood cells only live about 120 days. Coke had 3 different opportunities 100 years ago to buy Pepsi and refused every single time. Christmas lights used to be a status symbol because they would often be rented instead of bought because they were so expensive. This river in the Amazon has boiling water. Australia has the highest skin cancer rate in the world. Angel Falls in Venezuela is the highest uninterrupted waterfall in the world. The Eiffel Tower can be taller by about 15 centimeters in the summer due to the increased temperatures expanding the metal. It only took Lady Gaga 10 minutes each to write Poker Face, Born This Way, and Just Dance. The Cubs 2016 World Series ring includes an engraving of the Billy Goat that was refused entry in the 1945 World Series, which caused the owner to lay a curse on the team.
One of my favorite Saw traditions is back. For those who don't know, for every Saw movie that comes out, they have a Saw blood drive. It's a partnership with the Red Cross. They did it for the very first Saw movie as a way to promote the film. If you come and give us some blood, we give you free tickets to see the movie. But the original filmmakers saw how successful this was. They saw how many people came out to donate blood, and they decided they wanted to do it again, but just to mostly help people than anything. And they did this for the Saw movies 1 through 8. And by the time Saw 8, aka Jigsaw, finished its promotional campaign, over 360,000 total lives have been saved because of the Saw franchise. I did make a video talking about this back in 2021. Wow, the difference a few years makes. They had to skip over the blood drive for Spiral, I'm assuming because of COVID-related reasons, but now it's back for Saw X, and the posters look so good. They're also advertising all blood types are accepted from all people, which is amazing.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. At least that's what a lot of people think. And here's some of the evidence that they cite when they talk about this case. So after his initial arrest, Jeffrey Epstein was placed on suicide watch for a number of reasons, even though he was continuously telling prison psychologists, friends, attorneys that he wouldn't do that and he's never considered it. So first of all, let's take a look at this sign. This is a sign that was hanging on or around Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell. No one knows why this question mark is around the mandatory. A newspaper even reached out to the Bureau of Prisons to ask about why there was an underlying question mark here, but they refused to comment. 7:49 on the night before they found Epstein dead in his cell. He's led to his cell and he's placed there. So Epstein had been on suicide watch for weeks at this point, but he had just been taken off suicide watch the day before. The people running the prison, the Bureau of Prison System, they recommended that Jeffrey Epstein needed to have a roommate at all times. Even if he had been taken off of the list, he was still on the list, if you know what I mean. Well, for some reason, that night his roommate was not assigned to him, they were removed from the cell, and that left Jeffrey Epstein completely alone in his jail cell. Now remember this sign that said that they have to search his cell and look at Jeffrey Epstein every 30 minutes? Well, that did not happen. Well, it turns out that the two security guards that were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes, Michael Thomas and Tova Noel, did not check on him for over 8 hours. Video surveillance footage literally shows them playing with their phones and sleeping on the job. And keep in mind that Epstein at this point was America's most high-profile criminal. This dude was all over the news. And after all this, these two were charged with falsifying documents and attempting to defraud the federal government. So something that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way about all this is the security camera footage itself. Now, this is a prison. Every angle should have been being captured at every single moment. You know, anything can happen in prison. And video footage of the security guards exists from that night, but there is no video footage of Epstein's cell block area or his cell door. It's actually been reported that the camera that was shooting the angle down Jeffrey Epstein's cell block area corrupted the night that he took his own life. Of all times for this one specific camera to corrupt and the footage to be lost, it was that night when it happened. And there's a lot more that we're going to get into, but like I said, there's just a lot here that we're going to cover, but this quote really says a lot about what I just told you. So, Epstein's taken off suicide watch the day before he kills himself. His roommate is removed from the cell. The cameras on his tier are not working. The guards fell asleep. It seems almost impossible to think all those things could happen in that way. And this is Epstein we're talking about, America's most high-profile prisoner. In fact, the suicide watch observation log, this is the actual document, shows that Epstein was acting pretty normally that day. Which isn't to say that he wasn't deceiving people by saying he didn't want to take his own life when he was secretly trying to get alone time where he could do it, but it's still an interesting side note. In the next TikTok, we're going to get into the really crazy stuff.
You guys think, man, there was too many coincidences lining up. I think we all know the truth. They might not say it, but we thinking it, we know it. Seekers. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate their support. Make sure you guys comment down below. Leave a thumbs up on this video. Also hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.